What's happening, Hardscapers? Today we're going to prepare a paver patio base 4 different ways and explain the pros and cons of each. Let's get into this. We have 4 different ways that we can prepare a paver patio base. We're going to be explaining each one thoroughly, the applications and pros and cons of each of them. First and foremost, the traditional base or the dense graded base. This is a 3/4 inch down to fines, 3/4 inch minus, a gravel. There's lots of different names for it, but it is a 3/4 inch fractured angular stone down to fines, so sand particles in it, and that's why we call it a dense graded base. This is installed and compacted. It does need moisture to be compacted, so if it is dry when you're putting it down, you're putting it down also with some water to add some moisture when you're compacting it. And this is going to be our base material. So in our climate, Toronto area, we're looking at about 6 to 8 inches of this, always on top of a compacted subgrade and with a geotextile soil separator fabric, either non-woven or woven, as well as a biaxial geogrid somewhere in that base, ideally lower if possible. And we also have a video on that, and if anything comes up throughout this video that you have more questions about that we don't address, there's links in the description to each and every single one of these topics, including that geogrid and geotextile. Once our base is prepared, we're going to use one of 2 different bedding layers or leveling layers on top of this base. Going to a traditional base, dense graded base, we would use a concrete sand. This sand specifically has subangular particles and it helps for drainage, but what you don't want is a very fine sand, say masonry sand or beach sand for this. Now we typically don't use concrete sand, only in specific applications, which I'll touch on, but what we like to use is a high performance bedding or a 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch angular chip that has no fines in it. So it's open, it's clear. Those are different names for when you have a aggregate that has no fines in it. Open, clear. And I really like this for its workability. You can use it when it's raining. It's not going to wash out, and it allows perfect drainage right through it. So with our dense graded base, applications for this, at least for me, would be when we're preparing a project right next to a project that already is using a dense graded base. So for example, a front walkway next to a driveway that's already been prepared and we know it's a dense graded base, we're just going to use dense graded right next to it for that front walkway. And for driveways where the pavers have a very fine joint, we'll use concrete sand to be able to get that sand up through the bottom of the joint to meet our jointing compound, whatever we're using from the top down. And that's what gives us part of our interlock with our interlocking pavers. And that's for driveways specifically. If we're using a wider joint paver for our driveway, we can get away with using HPB or high performance bedding as our bedding layer. Which brings us to our next base would be an open graded base. And we're doing this on 90% of our projects these days. This is a 3/4 inch angular crushed clear stone. Open graded base. Clear just means that there's no fines in it, so that water is going to go right through this base material, which is the benefit of it. Whereas a dense graded base is going to hold on to water a little bit longer, that open graded base is just going to allow that water to go right through. Which does mean if you are preparing your base on clay or a subsoil that is going to hold onto water, you want to make sure that that subsoil with any base that you prepare anyways is sloped away from the foundation, so your excavation down to the subsoil should mimic the slope of your paver patio. And additionally, it doesn't hurt to have some sort of pipe in your base to move that water that does accumulate outside of the base, especially if you're not using a polymeric sand for your jointing compound for your pavers for this situation. Polymeric sand's not going to allow a lot of water through it, whereas if you're using a semi-permeable jointing compound or a resin-based jointing compound, that does allow water through it, so you want to think about that pipe to get that water out of your base. Once again, compacted sub-base, geotextile, your base material with biaxial geogrid somewhere in there. And then for the bedding layer, you cannot use concrete sand. You do have to use a 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch angular crushed clear chip on top of your 3/4 clear. I've already mentioned the pros of the drainage through this, and that does help with frost cycles and the heaving of that base because of the amount of air pockets in this base compared to a dense graded base. But especially for raised patios, this is the perfect base to use when compared to a dense graded base, because we have seen raised paver patios where if you use a dense graded base and there's no fabric separating the wall from the base, you do get washout through the faces of that retaining wall, which just cause settling of that paver patio on top over time. Because dense graded base does have those fines, open graded does not, so you don't have that same washout problem. Additionally, you have less problems with insects and weeds taking hold in that paver base, and it's a lot easier to work with when it is raining as well. The next base material that you could use is a synthetic base or paver base panels. This is going to save you a lot of time, but it's going to cost more in materials. We find this works best in tight access situations. This reduces your excavation by at least half. All you need to make room for is a 1-inch leveling layer on top of geotextile, which is on top of your compacted subgrade, 3/4 inch for the thickness of the paver base panels, and then your pavers on top. And for that bedding layer for paver base panels, you can use concrete sand or you can use high performance bedding. I prefer to use high performance bedding because with concrete sand, it is recommended that you compact it after screeding it, which means there will be lots of areas that you're going to need to go back and re-level after you compact it. But with HPB, you don't have to worry about that. These panels are made of high density polypropylene. They insulate the ground and they spread out the load over a wider area. Our oldest project with this is now 7 years old, still looks amazing to this day. But if you do already have excavation equipment, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and do that full excavation. If it's a tight access situation, this is where this really helps, where perhaps you have to hand dig it. This is where you're going to see the most savings of time with this. Additionally, if you have multiple slopes and you're using large format pavers or slabs, I don't like using paver base panels for that situation. When deciding whether or not to use paver base panels, it just becomes a calculation of how much does it cost me to excavate and dispose of that material, as well as the time to do a full excavation for an open or dense graded base, versus how long is it going to take me to do less than half that excavation, dispose of that material, and the cost of the paver base panels. And then it just becomes a calculation of which one is better. Are you going to pay more for materials to do a synthetic base, or are you going to spend more time in the excavation to do an open or dense graded base? But you would not want to use paver base panels in a situation where your excavation depth doesn't get you down to your subgrade. So clay, silty, sandy subsoil. You cannot lay your paver base panels base on top of organic materials, so topsoil or anything like that. So that is something you're going to want to test before you actually go ahead with those panels. Dig a test hole about 4 to 5 inches deep. See if you're hitting that subsoil. If not, you're going to have to excavate more to make room for that open or dense graded base. Also, you wouldn't want to use them for a raised patio because you are already building that structure up, which is making room for your base anyways. And it's also not rated for driveways, though there is a product on the market that is rated for driveways. It's just a little bit different than these paver base panels. And then the last base preparation method that you can use is a concrete base. We never do this unless that concrete is already existing, and you do want to make sure it's in good shape to be able to overlay it. No cracks in it, no signs of that concrete heaving and settling. So really, for the most part, this is only for porch overlays that will do this for the most part. And in these situations, what we do is we choose a border stone that is thicker than our material in the field or the interior of that project. So typically we're using a natural stone. We'll do 2-inch natural stone caps around the outside, and then on the inside, you could mortar down your natural stone. For me personally, I prefer to lay a non-woven geotextile and then use 1-inch natural stone on top of concrete sand. That means that our border caps are 2 inches thick. We have about 1 inch of concrete sand, and then we can put our 1-inch natural stone on top and be able to get a nice slope away from any foundation with that. The border caps are adhered using a hardscape adhesive, and this application turns out really well for us for porches. But you can mimic this same application with a backyard patio. Same thing, adhering those border pavers, non-woven geotextile, concrete sand, and your pavers in the interior. Lots of paver manufacturers will create pavers that are thinner, meant for concrete overlays. And those are the 4 different paver base preparations that we have available to us. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. And if you do want to go deeper into any of these different subjects that I brought up throughout this video, there's links in the description below with videos to each and every single one.